So Hyder dies in the middle of the war, Second Anglo-Mysore War in 1782, and after that there is a kind of attempt at an internal coup, which he and actually Purnaya very ably manages and tries to ensure that nothing happens on the eve of Diwali, on Narak Chaturdashi. And while they are in the middle of eating, the temple doors are closed and elephants are let loose to trample them, almost like what General Dyer did at Jallianwala Bagh. And those who tried to escape were brutally slaughtered. Now, when the rest of India celebrates Diwali, this community of Mandya Mayangars do not celebrate Diwali. They commemorate it as a day of mourning for their ancestors.
So let's start with the Mandya Mayangars. Let's talk about Naraka Chaturdashi and that.
So Hyder dies in the middle of the war, Second Anglo-Mysore War in 1782, and after that there is a kind of attempt at an internal coup, which he and actually Purnaya very ably manages and tries to ensure that nothing happens. In fact, when he dies in the middle of the war, it is Purnaya who was such a close confidant that he kept the news of Hyder's death a complete secret, because that could have upset we are right in the middle of a bloody battle with the British. So large chests of treasures would come to Hyder's war camp, ostensibly as if they've been brought from the Caliph from Constantinople. And in one of those large chests, his dead body was also put and taken back to Srirangapatna, because at that time Tipu was awake trying to quell a rebellion in Malabar, which was a thorn in the flesh of both father and son.
Yeah.
And so, despite all this, he somehow there are hints that even Karim tried to assert himself. That otherwise very sissy kind of person. He also tries to assert, but that is also quelled. And at that time, there is an internal rebellion from the royalists, maybe Lakshmi Ammanni, though she manages to do all these conspiracies without even her name coming out. In fact, Mark Wilkes, who goes and interviews her after Tipu's death and so on, she's still alive then, he says, I tried to poke so much and get so much out of her, but this lady would not even open her, her lips are sealed, nothing, no. And the needle of suspicion would never go to her. But probably she was the one who was engineering all of this. So they were a group of people, Anche Shamayya, who was a very trusted, Iyengar courtier of Hyder. All these people want to, instigate a rebellion, a palace coup. But sadly for them, the secret is out overnight. And so at that time, Tipu is in the middle of the Second Anglo-Mysore War, trying to conclude it. Mangalore has been sieged. And the British there are put to the worst of tortures. They're reduced to literally eating rodents and all to stay alive. He intercepts all the supplies, the provisions that are coming either from Bombay or Madras. And at such a time, in the palace, this coup is happening. And he assumes that this is at the behest of all these people, Anche Shamayya. And his nephews are these people, Tirumal Rao and Narayan Rao, who were the Mysore Pradhans, who, took the messages of the Rani to Madras. He tries, of course, Anche Shamayya, all of them are caught and they are executed and all of that. Tirumal Rao and Narayan Rao somehow give a slip and run away to various places. They're temporarily imprisoned, but they somehow find a way out and they manage to go away to the Carnatic region. So since you could not capture the two Iyengar brothers, the wrath of the ruler falls on the entire community of the Mandya Mayangars, who had nothing to do with this whole thing. And these were the Mandya Mayangars who belonged to this Bharadwaj Gotra, someone who came from that lineage, associated very closely with Ramanujacharya when he came all the way to Melkote when he was persecuted in Tamil Nadu. Now these people, 700 of them, men, women and children, were, according to one story, it is oral history, it's not documented elsewhere, it's references to 700 people being killed are there in the Maharani's letters, but Wilkes and Hayavardhan Rao and all these historians don't talk about it, which is quite strange. So 700 people, he's supposed to have asked them to come for a feast at the Lakshmi Narasimha temple in Srirangapatna, and while on the eve of Diwali, on Narak Chaturdashi, and while they are in the middle of eating, the temple doors are closed and elephants are let loose to trample them, almost like what General Dyer did at Jallianwala Bagh. And those who tried to escape were brutally slaughtered. And that memory of that tragedy is there with that community even now after 30, 40 years. This happened in 1784, November 1784, exactly. I don't know how many hundreds of years. But even now, when the rest of India celebrates Diwali, this community of Mandya Mayangars do not celebrate Diwali. They commemorate it as a day of mourning for their ancestors. So that kind of intergenerational trauma and memories that have lasted, that says something about how orally these memories are transmitted. Maybe 700 is wrong, maybe it was 70.
But it
That is
happened,
that is
yeah.
immaterial.
It's oral history, but
Correct.
if even till today that tradition
Yeah.
continues, that means that it must have happened. Otherwise, why would they imagine?
And there's so many
such a
people
thing?
today who belong to that family, Smita,
family.
including, of course, some in Mandya and Melkote and Srirangpatna, but even people like Mrs. Tara Gandhi, she belongs to that group. Some long years back, when I had spoken about this to her, she said, "Oh, is this the reason? I never knew that,
That we don't celebrate
we don't
Deepavali."
celebrate, but nobody told us why and so on." So, but it has come as a practice. Srinivasan Jain, your friend in the media, so he also supposedly belongs to this on the maternal side or whatever. And these are all the Mandya Mayangars. I don't know whether he celebrates Diwali at all this day or that day, but irrespective of that, there are people who it's come almost axiomatically without knowing the reason as to why they do this.